What if I told you the next travel revolution was not a luxury island or a tech-savvy capital but a narrow country wrapped in mist and motion? What if the place where Gen Z and millennial travelers find purpose, affordability and wonder is not across the ocean from Asia but right at its heart? This is Vietnam, a rising star for those who want more than just pretty photos. They want meaning, adventure, real connection, and this country delivers all of it. Vietnam is not just affordable, it is generous, not just scenic, it is cinematic, not just flavorful, it is unforgettable. In a time when people are done with curated vacations and staged experiences, Vietnam gives you the raw, the real, the delicious chaos of life lived at full volume and full heart. The moment you land in Hanoi, your senses are ambushed in the best way. The air is thick with history and motorbike fumes. Women in conical hats squat beside pyramids of lychee and mango. Men sip iced coffee stronger than your worst breakup on plastic stools inches from the street. Horns blare like jazz solos. Temple bells ring in the background. You are not watching a culture from the outside. You are in it now. Start in the old quarter, a maze of winding alleys, colonial facades and shop signs from every century at once. Here Gen Z Vietnamese create a blend of past and present. They sell thrifted denim next to altars to the ancestors. They run TikTok streetwear brands from balconies draped in bougainvillea. You sit down for bun cha, a dish of grilled pork, cold noodles and fresh herbs that tastes like summer memory on a plate, and it costs you less than a latte back home. But Hanoi is not all speed. Find Hon Kiem Lake at sunrise when elders perform Tai Chi as the sun paints the sky with soft gold. Cross the Red Bridge to Not Sun Temple and hear the slow breath of the city's spiritual core. Later head to Train Street, where a railway splits the buildings and tourists sip egg coffee beside rusting tracks, waiting for the train to roar by just inches from their knees. No amusement park can match this thrill. It is a thrill born from daily life. The youth of Hanoi are different. They are wired in, multilingual, politically aware, but they are also deeply tied to their culture. They wear ao dai to family gatherings and remix folklore into indie games and animation. They design apps that teach you how to pronounce tones, and they will invite you out for Bia Hoi, cheap beer brewed daily, best consumed with fried tofu, peanuts and stories. You sleep in a capsule hotel or a vintage Airbnb decorated with film cameras and faded postcards. And you dream with your window open as the city's lullaby plays out in distant laughter, scooter buzz and the wind shaking banana leaves. But this is only the beginning. Vietnam is long, narrow and varied. What stuns about this country is not just how much it has, but how much of it you never expected. From here the story unfolds further. North to south, urban to remote, light to shadow. In the next leg you will leave behind the concrete rhythm of Hanoi and sail into the myth and mist of Ha Long Bay.
Leave Hanoi behind and the road winds east toward the coast. The air changes, the noise softens, and then it appears. Ha Long Bay, a seascape so surreal it feels imagined. Thousands of limestone islands rise from the green water like ancient gods frozen mid-step. Some are jagged, some rounded, all cloaked in mist and mystery. For centuries Ha Long Bay was a place of legend. Dragons descended here to protect Vietnam, spitting out jewels that became the very islands now scattered across the sea. Your boat glides quietly past these pillars of stone. You step out onto the deck and there is no sound but water and wind. Kayaks drift silently into caves that breathe cool air from within. You swim in the warm, calm water and stare up at cliffs that have never been climbed. The night brings stars more than you knew the sky could hold, and the hum of the boat rocking you into sleep. This is not tourism, this is transformation. From Ha Long Head inland to a lesser-known wonder, Ninh Binh, often called Ha Long Bay on land, but it is more than a nickname. Here the rice fields stretch between cliffs so steep they seem to defy gravity. The river cuts through them like a silver ribbon, and local women row boats with their feet guiding you through grottos where light dances on cave walls. You pass shrines carved into stone, monks praying in silence and children laughing from bamboo rafts. The stillness is electric. Nature here is alive and watching. Climb the stairs to Hang Mua and you see the entire valley unfold beneath you. Green and gold, river and limestone, and the feeling that you are standing inside a painting that no one else will ever see quite the same way. At your feet lie petals from incense offerings. Behind you echoes the rhythm of a gong from a temple built into the cliff. The food here is earthy and fresh. Goat meat grilled with lemongrass served with pickled figs and crunchy sesame rice crackers. Lotus root salad drizzled with chili fish sauce. Every meal tastes like it was grown within walking distance. Stay in a homestay run by a family that invites you to cook with them. You pound garlic in a stone mortar while stories are exchanged through smiles and gesture. You learn that hospitality in Vietnam is not an act. It is a reflex, a way of living. The younger generation in places like Ninh Binh are bridging old and new. They film YouTube travel guides in 3 languages, then pray with their grandparents at family altars. They build eco-resorts that preserve the wetlands. They refuse to let beauty be consumed. They insist that it be shared with care. From these northern wonders you begin to trace the spine of the country southward. Past red dirt roads and mountain passes. Towards cities of emperors and rivers that remember war. You are heading now to Hue. The perfume river flows quietly through Hue but carries centuries of history in every ripple. This city was once the imperial capital of Vietnam, a place of dynasties, silk and solemn rituals. It is quieter than Hanoi, more reflective, yet it hums with stories if you know how to listen. You begin at the citadel, a vast complex of walls, moats and faded palaces. Inside the forbidden purple city, time seems suspended. The sunlight falls through broken arches and onto dragon carvings weathered by rain and war. You imagine the emperors who once walked these halls in silence and ceremony. And then you hear music. In a nearby courtyard, Gen Z musicians rehearse traditional Hue tunes using electric violins and lo-fi beats. The past is not fading here. It is being remixed. The food in Hue is unlike any other. It is precise, poetic and small in portion but rich in meaning. You try ban bio, tiny steamed rice cakes topped with crispy shrimp and scallion oil. Then ban korai, a golden crepe folded with pork bean sprouts and herbs eaten with peanut sauce. And finally the royal dish of all bun bo hue, a bowl of spicy beef noodle soup layered with lemongrass, blood pudding and depth. Every flavor is intentional. Every ingredient has a story. Cross the river and the vibe changes. Cafes built inside old French villas offer pour-over coffee with pandan milk and playlists that drift from indie to ambient. Art students sell watercolor postcards of temple roofs and broken bridges. This city cradles both reverence and rebellion. Its youth honor the old ways while refusing to be bound by them. Then you ride the Hoi An past a winding coastal road that cuts between jungle mountains and the sea. You stop at the summit where American bunkers from wartime now watch over cloud-swirled valleys. Below is the city of Da Nang, modern, bold and buzzing with energy. Da Nang is Vietnam's future in motion. Skyscrapers rise behind long white beaches. Digital nomads sip espresso in co-working lounges while children fly kites in the park below. The Dragon Bridge breathes actual fire on weekends and lights reflect on the Han River like confetti. But amid the neon, Da Nang has heart. You eat mee quang noodles topped with turmeric shrimp, peanuts and crispy rice crackers in a street stall run by 3 generations. You take a motorbike into the Marble Mountains, 5 peaks named after elements, each holding caves, temples and hidden altars inside. Monks chant softly as incense curls around statues worn smooth by prayers. Da Nang is where many Gen Z Vietnamese are choosing to live. It is affordable, fast and full of possibility. They are opening zero-waste cafes, organizing queer art exhibitions, teaching surf lessons and designing fashion lines inspired by lotus blossoms and street signs. This is not a copy of another city. It is something entirely new. And yet just 40 minutes south is Hoi An, where time itself seems to pause.
You arrive in Hoi An and it feels like stepping into a story that has waited patiently for you to arrive. The streets glow with soft lantern light. Ancient homes painted mustard yellow line narrow roads, and the river moves slowly, reflecting every color of dusk. But Hoi An is not just pretty. It is poetic. Once a major port city, this town welcomed merchants from China, Japan and beyond. You see that legacy in the architecture, the curved roofs, the wooden beams, the bridges built to withstand both floods and time. Walk through the market and you smell cinnamon, incense, silk, fabric, fish sauce and rose petals. Everything is old. Everything is alive. You meet a tailor who can make you a suit in 24 hours. You meet a fisherman who will take you out in a round bamboo boat through the coconut groves. You take a cooking class where you learn to grind lemongrass and slice banana flour and fold dumplings filled with shrimp and chives. The flavors of Central Vietnam are clean, bright and confident. Dishes like sao lao with its chewy noodles, smoked pork and herbs taste like nowhere else in the world. But the magic of Hoi An is not just in what you see. It is in what you feel. The silence after sunset. The paper lanterns you float on the river with a whispered wish. The sound of a street musician playing Dan Tran while the world exhales. A short ride away is in Bang Beach, where the sand is soft, the water warm, and bars serve coconut coffee as jazz plays from old speakers. Here you find travelers who came for 3 days and stayed 3 years. Artists, bakers, web designers, all drawn to the town's slower rhythm and creative energy. Then the journey turns inland, climbing toward the clouds. You reach Dalat, the mountain city known for its cool air, pine forests, and French villas. At first, it feels like another country. Hydrangeas bloom along winding roads. Bicycles roll past strawberry fields. There are no horns, just mist and birdsong. Dalat is where Vietnamese youth come to breathe, to escape the heat of the South, to write poems in notebooks, to fall in love. The city is obsessed with coffee, not just as a drink but as an experience. You visit a cafe where the barista explains the floral notes of their Arabica grown just outside town. You sip it slowly while overlooking the hills and watching clouds drift like slow ships. Coffee here is ritual. It is storytelling. It is memory. You try avocado ice cream, grilled rice paper with egg and chili known as Dalat pizza, and hot soy milk under the stars from a night stall where old men play chess by flashlight. There is something about this city that makes you want to write your own novel. In the alleys you find second-hand shops selling French coats and Soviet cameras. You visit Crazy House, an architectural wonder, part Gaudi, part fairy tale. You hike to Elephant Falls, where the water crashes through stone like thunder softened by moss. Dalat is not loud. It is layered, and it leaves a mark not with spectacle but with softness. From here your path will descend again toward heat and sea, toward the coastline where adventure and rest exist side by side.
The descent from the cool hills of Dalat into the coast brings with it a shift in pace. The air grows warmer, the light sharper, and before long you arrive in Nha Trang, a city where ocean meets skyline and tradition dances beside luxury. Nha Trang's beach stretches for miles, its waves kissed by sun and framed by mountains in the distance. In the morning locals perform aerobics along the shore. Fishermen pull in nets filled with shrimp and squid. The scent of grilled scallops with scallion oil and crushed peanuts floats through the breeze. And yet just across the road high-rises gleam with rooftop bars, infinity pools and resorts offering every indulgence. But even with the development, Nha Trang holds a rhythm all its own. You board a cable car and glide over the sea to Vin Wonders, a theme park built on its own island. There are water slides, Ferris wheels and aquariums, but the best view is from above, looking back at the coast lit up like a constellation. At night, seafood restaurants line the promenade. You crack open crab dipped in salt and lime, sip sugarcane juice with kumquat and watch the city breathe. But the real magic lies offshore. You take a snorkeling trip to coral reefs where clownfish hide among anemones and parrotfish nibble at the reef. The water is crystal clear and the world below feels infinite. Continue south and the coast grows quieter. The road hugs cliffs above turquoise bays and red dunes. You reach Mui Ni, once a sleepy fishing village, now a haven for windsurfing, kitesurfing and sand dune sledding. Here the ocean is wild, the wind constant and the landscape unlike anywhere else in Vietnam. The red sand dunes glow like fire at sunset. Children sell plastic boards and you race down slopes that shift with each breeze. Not far away are the white dunes, broader, calmer and surreal. A lake lies between them, dotted with lotus flowers and paddle boats shaped like swans. It is desert and delta colliding. Mui Ni's fishing harbour comes alive at dawn with round boats spinning in the surf and fishermen hauling in nets filled with silverfish and pink shrimp. You eat breakfast at a shack right on the sand, grilled squid with chili and lime served on banana leaves with a view of the sea waking up. And there's the fairy stream, a shallow creek that winds through red canyons and bamboo groves. You take off your shoes and walk through warm water past limestone ridges that look like melted castles. It is quiet, unexpected and beautiful in a way you did not think sand could be. The town's energy is relaxed yet vibrant. Backpackers stay in beach bungalows strung with hammocks. Digital nomads work from open-air cafes that serve passion fruit smoothies and Wi-Fi with a sea breeze. Locals smile easily and invite you to join their table. Stories flow between sips of rice wine. Here in Mui Ni you are reminded that adventure does not need altitude or scale. It needs openness, curiosity, a willingness to let go of the plan and let the wind decide. But as your journey continues, the road bends inland then southward once more toward the place where everything converges. History, speed, noise, invention, resilience. You are headed now to Vietnam's largest city and final stop, Ho Chi Minh City.
You arrive in Ho Chi Minh City and everything changes. The rhythm accelerates, the light sharpens, the pulse becomes louder. This is not a place you visit. It is a force you collide with. Known to many as Saigon, the city sprawls with kinetic energy. Motorbikes swarm intersections like rivers of chrome and color. Neon signs flicker above street food stalls while skyscrapers reflect the clouds in mirrored glass. The heat clings to you, but so does something else. A momentum, a boldness, a city that refuses to sit still. Start in District 1, where the old and new are neighbors. French colonial buildings with ornate balconies stand beside glass towers and shopping malls. You visit the Central Post Office designed by Eiffel, the same man behind the Paris Tower, and walk across to Notre Dame Cathedral, built brick by brick with materials shipped from France. But inside, the coffee shops are packed with Gen Z founders writing pitch decks in 3 languages between sips of coconut latte. Saigon is not subtle, but it is layered. You wander through Ben Thanh Market, where dried fruits, jasmine tea, leather bags, and knockoff watches mix in a haze of heat and bargaining. You duck into a pho shop that has been serving the same broth for generations and sit elbow to elbow with construction workers and CEOs. The spoon hits the bowl and suddenly silence. Because this soup matters. In District 3, the pace softens. Here you find tree-lined streets and old villas turned art spaces. A bookstore with ceiling fans and yellowed walls sells poetry by Vietnamese authors you have never heard of but suddenly love. You sip iced coffee with condensed milk in a narrow alley where murals bloom on cracked cement. The past whispers here, not as nostalgia but as presence. Head to District 5 and you are in Cho Lan, the heart of Chinatown. Incense swirls inside temples where red lanterns glow and brass gongs mark prayers. Eat Hu Tiu Nam Bang, a Cambodian Chinese Vietnamese noodle dish that tells you everything about Saigon's multicultural soul in one bite. You begin to understand that this city is not built in layers. It is built in collisions. And harmony is found within the noise. You meet a student designing games based on Vietnamese mythology. A chef turning street food into fine dining. A tattoo artist in District 10 whose ink tells the story of his grandmother's war years. Everyone is building, dreaming, transforming. Saigon is a furnace, and you cannot help but be changed. At sunset you climb to a rooftop bar in Bidixco Tower. The lights of the city below flicker on like stars falling in reverse. The river snakes through it, all silver and slow. You sip something cold and watch as day dissolves into neon. Somewhere below, someone starts a motorbike, someone lights incense, someone falls in love. And as your trip nears its end, you realize something. Vietnam was never meant to be consumed like a checklist. It is meant to be felt. It moves through you. Its food becomes part of your memory. Its people part of your story. Its places a rhythm that lingers long after your feet leave its soil. This is why Vietnam is rising. Not just in rankings or on travel blogs, but in the hearts of those who came looking for something real and found it in a bowl of noodles, a smile, a misty morning above rice fields. For Gen Z and millennials, Vietnam offers what the world often lacks: meaning, warmth, surprise, depth, and joy. If this story stirred your wanderlust, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you never miss a journey worth taking. Thank you for watching. We'll see you somewhere in Vietnam.